So welcome back guys, you are watching Rising Coders Era, and in this video we are going to see what is a switch statement, the working of switch statement, what are the data types allowed in switch statement, which are not allowed inside the switch statement. Also we are going to see the syntax of switch statement. We are going to solve some problems. If you are not subscribed to the channel, if you are new to the channel, please get subscribed guys to the channel, and you will get the notes and source code inside the description. So let's get started guys. So the first thing here, what is the switch statement? So before moving to the theory, we are just going to see an example, but before that you need to know which data types are allowed. So here we are going to have an integer and byte, a short, character, string, enum types. Okay, so these data types are allowed inside the switch statement. So switch statement is similar like if else if statement. So there are some conditions. If the condition get true, the statement is going to execute. So how this switch statement works, we are going to see it with one example. So here we are just going to say that, okay, let's zoom this, and this is going to be the example, this is going to be the problem statement, but we are going to solve it later on. Okay, we are just going to take a string, we are going to create a variable string, and suppose we are just going to say here a variable name as suppose alphabet is equal to, suppose we are just going to have anything, suppose we are just having alphabet, suppose H. So if it is H, so what there will be, okay, right now it's a string, so we are just going to make it inside double quotes, so no problem. Okay, so what happens when we are just going to use a switch statement? Suppose I'm just going to say switch, okay, and after using this switch, there are multiple conditions. If there are multiple conditions, then we are just going to use switch statement instead of using if else. So right now we are just going to pass the alphabet at this point, so we are just going to say alphabet, and right now there will be different cases. Suppose the alphabet here is going to be, it's an H. Okay, we are just going to make it small h, and this one as well. Okay, so if it is a small h, then we are just going to print that it is going to be an hen. Okay, so you can just say here system.out.println, and here I'm just going to say hen. H stands for hen. Okay, so this is going to be your case. Okay, you can just see there are some yellow underlines. So if I'm just going to move here, so it is just going to say that, so it is telling that if you are having a one case, then you can just use a if statement, but here basically we are going to have multiple cases. So at this point you are going to use switch statement. So let's take one more case, and the case is going to be, suppose it's a k, then we are just going to say south, it stands for kite. Okay, if user is going to enter k, it is going to show kite. So the syntax is in this way. So right now it is h, so here there will be an underline, so you can just see h is only the reachable. If I am just going to replace it with k, you can just see the underline will be at the k. So you got this point. Okay, now there are multiple cases. Let's take some cases as well. Suppose I am just going to take here l, okay, small l, and here we are just going to say south, and L stands for lion, so lion. So if it is a L, it will just display lion. Now what if I'm just going to say here H, and we are just going to execute the code? So what will happen? Let's see. Now when I will just say here H, so it will run hen, it will be printed hen, it will printed kite, it will print lion. So all these things are being printed. Why? The reason here is, so H, it will check for this get match, it will be printing this thing, and it will be printing continuously the things which are present below that, So for this we need to use a keyword, and that is going to be a break keyword. So for handling these guys, we need a keyword, and that is a break. So what is a break keyword? So what happens when you are just going to use a break? If this thing is matching, suppose H is matching with the user input. Okay, so in alphabet the user input is present. If it is H, then we are going to display this. So what happens, it will just see if it match, then it will just run the code, and then it will stop here, and it will not execute these lines. It will be outside the switch statement. Okay, it will get outside the switch statement. So right now if I'm just going to run this, so yeah, it's hen. Let's give k. You can use a scanner class, so you can just say k stands for kite. Now what if the user is going to enter, and that's the j, which is not available here? So at that point we need to handle it, so it will not execute anything. So for this we need to display a message that invalid input. You can just display a message. For this you are having a default inside default inside switch statement. So default condition, you are just going to print by default that invalid, it is going to be invalid input. So right now if I am just going to run this code, so you will just see that there will be an invalid input message displayed inside the console. Okay, so when it will be happen, when the user is going to enter the value which is not available inside the case. It may be happening that the user is entering the value which is not available inside the case. So at that point it will be running the default statement. Break is used inside a loop to come out of it. Right now we are just going to see loops in upcoming videos, and there are some loops repeatedly. If you are just running some numbers, you are just printing some numbers from 1 to 10. If you use the break in between them, then it will skip all the next numbers. I'm just going to say that if the number is greater than 5, then at that point I just want to break it. Break is used inside the switch block to come out of the switch block. Right now we have just seen this. If the key is matching, then it will execute this code and it will come outside this block. It will not execute these lines, the lines which are below, which are present below. To note one more thing, if you are just saying default, so here you don't need to use any break. Okay, by default it will just execute. Okay, the next thing, break can be used in nested blocks to go to the end of a block. Suppose you are using if statement and here there is an if block, and inside this I'm just going to use one more if block. Okay, this is called as nested. Okay, so there is something condition here, there is something condition. So suppose you need to move outside this block, so at this point you can just use a break and you will come outside this block. That means you will come in this block, the first block. Okay, alright guys, I am in Visual Studio Code because I just want to show you one more thing related with the switch statement. And right now if I'm just going to move cursor here we are having convert switch to rule switch. Rule switch is also called as, can just say, enhance switch. If I am just going to say here quick fix and convert to rule switch, what will happen? The lines of code is going to reduce. Here we use the break, it is going to be removed. From this to this, it is going to be converted. So there is a problem. Statement 1, we are going to write a Java program to handle user subscription status using a switch statement. Okay, so we need a scanner class. We are going to take input from the user and we are going to switch between statements. So there are different statements you can just see here. Determine the output based on the subscription status entered by the user. Okay. If user is going to say he's subscribed, this message will be shown that you are subscribed. You will receive notification. If he is not subscribed, then there will be no notification. Please subscribe to receive notification. If he is trial, this message will be displayed. Then this message, then default, this message will be there. And right now we are just going to import a scanner class. So how we import a scanner class? We just say scanner. Okay, and I'm just going to create an instance for scanner class. So scanner scan is equal to scanner, and inside this we are going to say system.in. Okay, so we are just going to say system.in to take an input from the keyboard. And right now we are just going to display some messages. So first thing, we are just going to say that, so here we are going to say enter your subscription status. Okay, so here one thing is missing. You can just see underline, so you just do new. So enter your subscription status. Okay, so we are just going to give this. So user is just going to enter if he is subscribed, he is not subscribed, he is on trial or anything, the things which are just present at this point. So user is going to just enter in between this. So right now we are just saying that the user is going to display this message. The user will get this message and we need to take an input from the user. So it is going to be a string. Variable will have a name and that is going to be a status. So status is equal to, we are going to say scan dot next line. Okay, because it's an string, so you need to write here line. If it is an integer, you will say next integer. So right now the status, if you just want to print it, you want to just see it whether it is taking fine, so you can just say south and you can just log here status. So right now if I'm just going to run the code and it is just going to say enter your subscription status, so we are just going to enter a subscription status, for example anything right now, and if I'm just going to enter, it will be displayed. So everything is fine. So what will happen? User is going to get this message. User is going to enter a string which will be stored inside this variable, and this is going to be printed on this line. So for right now we are just going to remove this because we don't want this, and we are going to handle the status using switch statement. So we are going to say switch, and inside this we are going to say status. Now here there will be multiple cases. So case 1, if you just see over here, we will just move at the point and it is subscribed. Okay, so I will just copy this. If this is done, then we are just going to have a string. Okay, so I'm just going to paste it. All the thing is just right now I'm just going to paste, copy this. So user is going to receive this notification that you are subscribed. But before this, there is one more condition which we have forgotten right now. This subscribe, you can just see right now, this is the subscribe. Okay, I will just paste it here. So user can enter subscribed in this way, user can enter subscribed in this way, or user can enter subscribed in this way, that means capital letters. Okay, so user can enter subscribed in this way or this way. So we have to handle all these things. So before doing this, so my plan is that we are just going to make all these things inside the lowercase. That means in this way we are going to convert it. It's a case sensitive. If user is going to enter this thing, the spelling is correct, but there is a capital letter at the starting. Okay, so for this we are having a method inside Java, and that is to lowercase. Okay, so we are going to apply it on the status, and if user is going to enter anything, it will be converted into the lowercase. So similarly we are having uppercase as well, so it will be converted in this. For right now we are just going to make it inside the lowercase. It's very simple. You just have to say status dot, and it is going to be to lowercase. Okay, so this is a method. So what we are going to do, we can directly convert it at this point. So you can just say dot to lowercase. Right now we don't need this. Okay, we are just going to call the method. And right now if I'm just going to log this, so you can just say south. So to lowercase. Right now I'm just going to make this comment out for right now. And okay, we will just remove this one as well. And here I'm just going to say south status, and let's check whether it is going to convert it into the lowercase or not. I'm just on this caps lock, so sub will be converted into smaller case. You can just see right now. Okay, so this is converted into smaller case, so it will be working for all other cases. So you can just see this is a method which is going to convert all the characters available inside the string into the lowercase. Returns the lowercase string. For example, this is an uppercase string, it will be converted into lowercase, so the letters are going to be small. Okay, these are capital and this is going to be small letters. So this is having the method for lowercase. You have same method for uppercase, so you can just use here uppercase as well to get it uppercase. And right now we are just going to have subscribe, then this message will be thrown. And right now we need to again use multiple cases, otherwise it will show you a message that you can use if statement if there is only one condition. So I will just copy all these things, and let's paste here, so they will be at this point. So the next case is not subscribed. Okay, so if you are not subscribed, if you are new to the channel, please get subscribed guys to this channel. This is the next thing which we are just going to see, and let's paste it. Okay, so you will get this message. Okay, so case, and the next thing is going to be your trial. So let's cut this, paste it over here, then we will use here at this point south. Okay, south, and this will be the message that you are on trial, subscribe soon to continue receiving notifications. Okay, so let's paste it at this point. So there will be one more case, and that is going to be expired. So let me write it, and this is the message which we are just going to do it inside the system.out.println. We are just going to paste it, and right now the one condition which is remaining, that is the default case. In default case, we are just going to say invalid input, please enter a valid subscription status. So we are just going to say it inside this south. Everything is done guys, everything is done. I'm just going to remove this. Okay, now we are just use a scanner class. The important thing is that if you are using a scanner class, you need to close it as well. Okay, so scanner class you are just used, so just understand here you need to close it as well, scan dot close. So you are going to close the scanner class as well. Okay, one thing is right now remaining, and that is the break statement. So you are not use the break statement, so it will execute all the code line by line. So let's create the break statement. So just I'm going to click alt on the keyboard, and we are just going to take the help of multi-line cursor, and here I will just say break, and that's all. The program is ready to execute. So what will happen if user is going to say that he is subscribed, then there will be a message that you are subscribed, you will receive the notifications. You know, as you are just going to subscribe to our channel as well, then you will get a notification. If you are not subscribed, you will not receive notification. And default there will be invalid input, please enter valid subscription status. So by default it will be executing if all these things does not match. So we are having a scanner class. Scanner class is going to take an input from your keyboard, from the user's keyboard. So he's going to prompt this message, enter your subscription status. So he's going to enter between this subscribed, not subscribed. So you can just make it here. So in between this you can just say yes, subscribed. Okay, so subscribed, or you can just say here not subscribed. So on. I'm just going to say here you can just write this not subscribed, then trial. Okay, let's write it. So between this you need to write this. Okay, and if user is going to write this, then it will be showing this message. So right now let's run the code. So I'm just going to say subscribe. So what will happen, it will show you a message, you are subscribed, you will receive notification. If I'm just going to run the code again, and I'm just going to write something randomly, so it will show the default invalid, please enter a valid subscription status. After seeing this message, it should again run this code. Okay, it should go again to the code and it should run this. For this, what we can do, we can just say directly, we can just call the main method at this point inside the default, So here you can directly call this. Basically you should use the while loop, but for right now we are just going to see the main method, and we are just going to call the args. We are going to pass the argument. So right now if I'm just going to run the code, and if I'm just going to enter an invalid thing, suppose I'm just going to enter something randomly, so it will show you the message, and again it will run the program, and then you can just write here subscribe. Suppose we are just going to say trial, and it will show you that you are on a trial, subscribe soon to continue receiving notifications. So these two things we are just understand here. Basically you should use a while loop. In next video we will be using here a while loop. So here we are just using method, we have just called the main method. That means we are just doing recursion. When you are having a method and you are calling this method inside that method only, so it is called as a recursion. Okay, the video is available inside this playlist about recursion as well. Now you can just see the definition: checks a variable value against a list of options cases, run different pieces of code based on which value matches the thing which is going to be matched, that it is going to execute. A simpler way to write multiple if else statement, it will be little bit reducing of code, and you are comparing the same variable. If you are going to compare the same variable, at that point only you are going to do this. Okay, if there are different variables, so you can just use if else statement. If you don't want to use the default statement, you can remove it as well. Okay, switch subscription status, this will be one file, and you will get switch calculator in next video. So these two files there will be for switch statement. So that's all guys for today's video, and you will get the notes and source code inside description. If you are new to the channel, please get subscribed to the channel, and thank you guys for watching this video.